My name is Ortem. I am the leader of the MAFUN Academy. It is the educational initiative by MAFUN. MAFUN is International Association of Finno-Ugric Youth. And we usually make this kind of seminars and lectures via internet when some prominent speakers give speeches about Finno-Ugric peoples, Finno-Ugric languages, and some other stuff also about other minority languages, social linguistics, and so on. So today, I guess everyone hears me quite well. Yes? Well, thanks for joining us today. Today we have a great speaker. His name is Sullõv Jüvä. Sullõv is a lecturer at the University of Tartu, Estonia. Also, he is a researcher of the Võro Institute. He is a language activist and the moderator of one of the most famous Võro groups, Võro Kill. So today we will speak about Võro language, its situation nowadays, and the ways how language activists try to reinvigorate this regional language of South Estonia. Once again, many thanks to all of you who came, who joined us today, and I'm giving a mic to Sullõv. And for the people who came for the first time, the way we work is the following. So Sullõv will be giving his presentation. You will see slides, you will see him, you will hear him, and you can ask your questions, you can write your comments using this chat box. You see it on your screen, the right side. And Sullõv will be giving his replies, whether during his presentation or after his presentation. You know, he will decide by himself. So if there are any inconvenience or any problems regarding sound, speed of the connection, images, presentation, and so on, please let us know about this. Please write about this in the chat. So once again, thanks, and I'm giving a mic to Sullõv. Thanks.
No, tere õhtust, good evening. Minu nimi on Sullõv. My name is Sullõv. And actually, my Võro name is Jüvä Sullõv. I will write it down here so you can see. And official name is Sullõv Jüvä, as Ortem said. And yes, I am glad that I see you. There are so many listeners. Do you all hear me? You can write it at the chat. Okay, that's good. Then let's speak about Võro. And first of all, about myself, I am working at the University of Tartu, and I am a lecturer of South Estonian language and culture. And actually it means that I am a Võro language teacher, but I am teaching also some other subjects of South Estonian, like South Estonian literary language, history, and yes, and with conversational courses of Võro and beginners courses and Võro grammar and so on. But the main subject of mine is beginning courses, because beginning courses of South Estonian language and Võro are quite big. We have many participants, but advanced courses, I think it is everywhere the same, that they have quite small audience. But now about Võro. I am myself from Võromaa, from village Navi. It is near capital of Võro area, Võro county, near Võro. And my Võro language is Võro is my first language, mother tongue. But today I will speak my bad English, and I hope we will manage. And as Autumn said, if you have any questions at the time of the talk, then be bold and write it in chat. And if I mention it, I will answer. And I try to watch your chat messages, and I try to answer right now when I see them. Okay. But now about Võro. As you see, the starting slide is actually about diversity. I am always starting my lectures about Võro with some words about on language and biological diversity. And here you can see some very rich diversity of flowers and grass, but here you can see a landscape without diversity. And the same is also with languages. Some places have many languages, some not so much, but generally world is very diverse place, linguistically diverse. And this biological diversity and linguistic and cultural diversity, I always said that I always connected them in my mind and in my subjects. And of course, every single language is huge richness of the word. And that's one of the reasons why I am dealing with Võro language. Of course, it is my mother tongue, but I feel and I know that it is also my small Võro language, and Udmurt, Komi, and all smaller languages or marginalized languages are huge richness. Now, Võro or South Estonian, yeah. In Võro, it is Lõuna-Eesti keel, South Estonian language, or South Estonian languages. Actually, I think it is more correct to speak about 4 separate languages today: Võro, Seto, Mulgi, and Tartu. I have with small capital letter here, first letter, then actually, because it is in Võro, so, but in English it should be this big letter. But yes, if the first question is if we have 4 separate languages or 1 South Estonian language. Well, linguistically, of course, South Estonian is 1 language with 4 variants. But in terms of identity, it's not so. Actually, nobody in the South Estonia doesn't feel or say that his or her mother tongue is South Estonian. It's nonsense. We have everybody whose mother tongue is South Estonian says that it is Burrow or Seto or Mulgi or Tartu. So actually we have 4 languages, but they are linguistically very close. Especially Võro and Seto, they are almost the same language linguistically. But Setos are Orthodox people and Võros are Protestant Lutherans. So, and Võros had belonged for a long time to the Western cultural sphere, but Setos to the Russian. So actually, Võros and Setos are 2 separate ethnic groups, and they feel that they have also different languages. But linguistically, the language is the same with small differences. But Mulgi and Tartu, they are smaller. You see the map. They are smaller today and weaker and more influenced by Estonian language, by standard Estonian language, Estonian state language. And Võro and Seto are less influenced by Estonian. Well, Seto has had influences from Russian, more influences from Russian language, but today's Seto isn't influenced by Russian anymore. It is also influenced by Estonian, but Võro and Seto are still the less influenced South Estonian languages, less influenced by state language Estonian. And we can say they are the purer part of South Estonian language, but Mulgi and Tartu are more influenced and more mixed with Estonian language. And you see also these language islands or enclaves in the Latvia. Yes, on the map. Lutsi, Leivu in the Latvia, and then Krasna language island in Russia. But unfortunately, they are died out some decades ago. Have they died out? But some cultural movement is happening in Lutsa region, in Lutsi, even today. And Uldis Palodis has done an orthography for Lutsi language, but the Lutsi is Lutsi language is very, very, very close to Võro, and Krasna close to Seto, and Leivu is the most distinctive of these 3 language islands. But yes, the 4 main variants, or even independent languages of South Estonian, well, we have Finno-Ugric languages, then Finnic group of Finno-Ugric languages, yeah, or Finnic branch, yes, and inside Finnic branch, we have, I would say, we have a South Estonian subgroup or sub-branch with Mulgi, Tartu, Võro, and Seto. And they are, of course, very close to each other, but still with different identity, and they have certain linguistical differences as well. But let's move on. Yes, it's one more map. Now it is in English. The previous was in Võro. Now it is in English, and this more intense red area is this core area or heart area of South Estonian. It's Võro and Seto, and lighter areas, Mulgi and Tartu. The lightness shows that it is mixed with Estonian and more influenced with Estonian language, which is white. So on the map. Now with some symbols of South Estonian languages or peoples or cultures. The main symbol is flag. We don't have actually coat of arms or hymns, but actually Setos have also this hymn, yeah. But Võro doesn't have. But we have flags. Three South Estonian languages have their own flag. Võro, Seto, Mulgi. The Seto flag is the oldest. It is already from 1990s. Võro flag is about 10 years old, and the Mulgi is the youngest. But Tartu language is the only that doesn't have a flag. But let's move on. How many speakers have South Estonian and Võro and all other South Estonian languages? Võro is the biggest South Estonian language with about 74,000 people, and it is from the census of 2011. And actually, these numbers don't show number of speakers, but the number of those persons who answered to the question that what languages do you know, or what languages do you have command of, what languages next to Estonian state language. And you had to choose at first Estonian as a mother tongue at the census, and then you had an opportunity to choose what languages or languages or dialects you regional languages or dialects you have a command. Yeah. The question in Estonian was mis keeli oskate. Yeah, it means in Russian it would be kakimi языками вы владеете. So it is not speaking but knowing the languages, having some command of these languages. And Võro is the biggest, as you see. Then Seto is second with about 12,000 speakers or knowers. Mulgi about 10,000 and Tartu about 4. And there was also about 1,000 people who didn't decide which South Estonians they are by language, and they said just South Estonian. But it's very, very small part. Almost all had very clear decision. Võro, Seto, Mulgi or Tartu. Yes, but as I said, this number, yes, it is in Estonia, as you know, we have about 1 million only Estonian speakers. And so this 100,000 or nearly 2,000 over 100,000. It is quite a big part of Estonian speakers, about 1/10. But actually, it's not so beautiful, the situation. Actually, about half of them are active speakers. Burrow Institute have done, in cooperation with Tartu University, has done some research on this topic, and outcomes are that about half of them are active speakers. So we may say that about 30 to 50,000 Burrow speakers are active speakers, everyday speakers. The rest of them are passive speakers, or they just know the language, understand, and maybe sometimes you speak. Yes. So about the history of Võro, or actually if we speak about history of Võro, then we must mention that Võro itself, this name, is the name of Võro town, and it's not very old. It's from 18th century. And before that, we actually cannot speak about Võro as with such name. Before it was part of South Estonian. Of course, we can say that it was Võro, but the name came later. But this South Estonian or Võro, or as you like, it is one of the 2 old Estonian sub-branches. And it is considered one of the oldest, or even the oldest Finnic language. So it is quite clear that South Estonian or Võro is older than Estonian standard language or Finnic. No, let's say North Estonian or Finnic or Karelian or even Livonian. And some very prominent language historians are said that yes, are thinking so, or have shown it. Now about language trees. Often, actually, these language trees are quite political stuff. And in Estonia, Often South Estonian or Võro, they aren't put on the language tree. And here you can see we have Estonian and Livonian, Eesti Liivi in the Finnic branch, but between them should be South Estonian. But actually, on this tree, there wasn't South Estonian. Was only Estonian and Livonian and other, but not South Estonian. That it is very common to Estonian society or linguistic tradition, but often they consider South Estonian as a merely dialect or dialect group, not independent language, and they don't put then Võro or South Estonian on the language trees and every kind of lists of languages and Võro hasn't included enough into the language policy of Estonian, unfortunately. But yes, and as I said, these language trees are quite political thing. But let's see one more map now. Here you can see this Finnic languages, and as I said, Võro and other South Estonian languages are part of Finnic languages. So this South Estonian sub-branch of Finnic languages locates here. And today we can say that it is the most southern part of Finnic area, Finnic language area. It's a huge area, and South Estonian area is the southernmost. Of course, Livonian is also quite the same, but still, if we consider also this language islands in the Latvia, then definitely Võro or South Estonian is the most southernmost language, Finnic language. The same map, but a bit bigger now. Yes, Livonian, Võro with Seto and other South Estonian languages, then Votic, Vepsian, Veps, Karelian, and so on. These are our closest relatives, and of course, Estonian is the the closest. Now, this is the famous language tree of Pekka Sammalahti, who was the first who drew such a linguistic language tree. No, actually it isn't a tree, it's like roots. but still, it should be a language tree, and here you can see how old is supposed to be this Etelä-Viro, this South Estonian. So, according to Sammalahti and to after him, also other linguists agreed this Lõuna-Eesti, Etelä-Viro, South Estonian was the first which became an independent language or language line or branch. Yes, and it lasts until today. And all other Finnic languages are younger. But now one more language tree. This language tree is drawn by myself. Here the languages are like leaves or parts of this. Yes, like how to say? Yes, parts of tree. but they are with shape of leaf, and the biggest is Finnish language with 5 million. When the second Finnic language is Estonian with 1 million speakers, and then the third should be South Estonian or Karelian. They are quite the same, have quite the same number of speakers. Maybe nowadays South Estonian is a bit bigger, has more at least those who know it, according to census. And then Livonian is very, very close to Võro and Estonian, of course. But these branches of the tree, they are showing this oldness of the language, how old it is. And according to Samalahti and Kallio, Petri Kallio, we can, and Viitso and other prominent linguists, language historians, we can say that South Estonian is the first, is the oldest, then Livonian, then Estonian and others. But let's move on now. It's just one more language tree. These are, how to say, Nordic languages or old North languages, North Germanic and Finno-Ugric, and here you can see. I haven't drawn it. I actually don't know who has done it, but I found it on the internet. But you can see here the same system as I draw it. But Estonian and Võro is about 10 times smaller than Estonian, and Estonian 5 times smaller than Finnish. Okay. And the interesting thing is that I don't know who drew it, but it is definitely drawn by some foreigner, not Estonian person, and from abroad they have seen the Võro language, not South Estonian, and Seto, Mulgi, Tartu even aren't mentioned here, but the biggest part of South Estonian, Võro, is named here. But still we have here, we can see the Võro leaf, at least 3 separate small leaves. Võro, it could be, they could be Võro, Seto and Mulgi, yes. Unfortunately, Tartu is almost died out. Okay, now one more language tree. I have so many language trees today. I have a question to you. Who is the first? Who will guess what language is on that tree? In which language is written this language tree? Yes. And how would be Võro language in Latvian? Yes, very issue. Again, I don't know who has done this tree, but I know today Latvians prefer not very issue, but just Võro. Võro valoda, yeah. But here it's very issue. But now one map which shows, what does it show? You can guess. I think somebody of you have heard and have seen also this map, but please guess, what do these percents show? It is, of course, about language. It is a linguistic map. What do you think? What do these percents show to us? I know you are reading. I see you are writing. That's good. How many people speak? No. It is about, we could see about Võro and Estonian, or not only Võro. It is about Estonian, standard Estonian, and other local languages or dialects. Yeah, somebody is writing. It's good. How many people have Estonian as their only native language? Okay, I will say to you the right answer. It is about closeness of local language and standard Estonian. How big is the common part of standard Estonian and local language? So the biggest common part is has had this North Estonian dialect, North Estonian central dialect. Yes, it is about 58, about 60% was exactly the same as standard Estonian. The old North Estonian central dialect has about 60% the same. And the smallest common part with standard Estonian has Võro, has had old Võro, old pure Võro has common part with Estonian about less than 20%, let's say so. Today, Võro, of course, has had very big influence of Estonian state language, of course, and has mixed a lot with Estonian, but we have discussed it with our colleagues that how big would be the number today, modern Võro, in modern Võro, and probably it's about 30%, like it was in Tartu language, in old, pure Tartu language. Nowadays, Võro could be something like that in comparison with Estonian. Yes, but it is counted by Karl Pajusalu, and he has taken in account all levels of language. So phonology, phonetics, and morphology, and so on. And it means that about 20% of old pure Võro was exactly the same as nowadays standard Estonian. Yes, and 80% of this text, which was researched, yes, about 80% had some differences. Maybe the ending of the word was another or something. It doesn't mean that Võros don't understand Estonian, or North Estonians don't understand it at all Võro. No, it's not so. Even if the end of the word is a bit different, of course we can understand this word. Now some historical maps. It is an ancient Estonia in the 13th century, and as you see, this Võro area was Valgatapalve and partly Ugandi. And then medieval Võro was in the Tartu, what it is in English, Tartu bishopric of Torpat, yes. So we can say that it was a small feudalic independent state, yeah. Because in the medieval times, all the Europe was split into the small feudalic states, and also Tartu had its own state, and Võro belonged to this Tartu state. Then after this Germanic and German-Danish invasion, next invaders were Polish. This Polish invasion, Polish time. In that time, Võro and South Estonian was the northernmost part of Polish state. It's a very big Polish state, and we was the most northern part. Then came Swedish time, and again we were under Swedish rule, then under Russian rule, and under Russian rule in the 18th century, Võro town was established, and Võro county in its historical borders is from that time. As you see here, Võro maakond. It is from 18th century, the name Võro and the Võro county. And next map shows it also. It is original map from 18th century, Der Verosche Kreis. When German language, which was the main language here in Estonia, and also Russian became an important language here, but also this South Estonian language had its own literary language. It was called Tartu literary language, and it was used in Tartu and Võro region area, not in Mulgi and Seto region. In Setomaa, Russian was written language, and in Mulgimaa they used Tallinn, North Estonian written language. But in Võro and Tartumaa, Võro and Tartu area, yes, we have this Tartu or South Estonian literary language as a language of church, school, and law. And the first New Testament in Estonia, in native language, wasn't North Estonian, but South Estonian. It was in that same Tartu literary language. And this North Estonian New Testament, Uus Testament, yeah, in South Estonia it is Vastne Testament, but in Standard Estonian or North Estonian it is Uus Testament. It came much later, only 70. Oh, it's hard to me to say these numbers in English. So 18th century, yes. 15, yeah. And Old Testament, Vana Testament, was also translated into Tartu, yeah, but it stayed unpublished, greatly because of Great Northern War between Sweden and Russia, and Tartu city was burned, and it was very tragic time, and it influenced the situation so that Old Testament never was published in Tartu. But also this law, Livonian peasantry law, or law of peasants, yeah, of country, village law, Liivi talorahva seadus, it was also published in Tartu, in South Estonian. And these courts of Võro and Tartu county were working at also at the local language, in the local language, and they used this Tartu literary language. They are actually records of these court cases are available today. Yes, you can see here this Vastne Testament, the oldest New Testament in Estonia, in the native language. And here is the first Võro language ABC book. Before that, all ABC books were published as Tartu language ABC books, but the first which was named by Võro language, Vastne Võro keeliaabede raamatu, is from 1885. And how it looked. I don't know, is it hard to read to you, for you? Võro keele vanembil on lugemise oppamine ja latsil oppimine liiga rasse ja tarvitama ka selle pärast väga palju aega ning nägeva lõpmata palju vaiva. It is an old ABC book and actually it doesn't differ from Tartu literary language. It is the same, but it is still quite similar to today's Võro, to modern Võro. So it is, to me, it is very familiar to read it. Yes, the next slide is the same. When the first newspaper in a native language in Estonia, again, it wasn't North Estonian newspaper, but namely Tartu language, Tartu Maarahva Nädalileht, Tartu language newspaper, and it was again used. It was read by Võros and Tartus, Võro and Tartu people. And you can try to read it. Let's take this second news. Yes. Saksamaa keisri päälinnast, kui Viin kutsutas kirjutades, et seal peab väega lämmi olema, nii ta, et ei jõua pea kannatada. So it's about weather, but in Germany, in Wien, it should be Austria, but it's said in Germany, that there is very hot. Yeah, about a news from Germany, from Wien, but it is very hot there. When this law, Livonian peasantry law, it's also säädus ja maarahva perest antuk ja Liivlandi kubernemendi valitsuse all elava. It's also quite good. Actually, Võro language, but it was named as Tartu language. Difference is very small. Our own old literary language. Edimene päätükk maarahva omast saisusest. Now, there was a battle of two literary languages, and North Estonian won it, to say it shortly, because in short, North Estonian had a bigger territory, more people, and so on, and it was the one which was chosen to the national language of Estonia. And in the beginning of independent Estonian Republic, actually this South Estonian literary language was disappeared, or it wasn't used anymore, and was replaced by Tallinn language, by this nowadays standard Estonian language. And the South Estonian was marginalized to the level of dialects without own literary language. So only about Võro, Mulgi and Tartu dialect they spoke in the pre-war Estonian Republic, and also after war, after Second World War. But everybody spoke then Võro, Mulgi, Seto, Tartu, but it wasn't anymore a written language. So it was situation of stable diglossia. Everybody spoke the language, but nobody didn't write it anymore. But still, teachers at the Võro area schools, they still spoke with children Võro. They used still, and these inspectors from Tallinn, they warned them, but there were not big sanctions against them. And actually, even my teachers in the 1970s, some of them, I remember 2 teachers in my school, they used Võro as a speech, so spoken language quite often with children. So Võro didn't disappear so quickly from educational use, actually, from practical use of educational language. And in the pre-war Estonian Republic time, even Seto language readers, read books were published, but not Võro language, only Seto, because at that time Seto nation or Seto people became first time part of Estonian Republic and Estonian nation, and it was an attempt to make them softer, this becoming part of Estonians, to publish some Seto language read books. But this Estonization of Setos was quite oppressive, and it was quite hard for Setos, not so easy like in Võromaa. Here are these Seto readers from Vana Lugemiku, old read books from pre-war Estonian Republic. Time of Soviet and German occupations, it was, I would say, the worst time when stigmatization and marginalization was extreme, and even suggestions were made to parents not to speak Võro or Mulgi or Tartu or Seto local language with their children. Only pure, crystal pure Estonian standard language was spoken to the politic was that should be spoken to children only this crystal clear Estonian standard language, and these children even were punished of speaking their local own language. And of course, when very rapid quite rapid shift from diaglossia to standard Estonian monolingualism happened. And it happened in the 1970s and the 80s, generally. But now, our language today, we can say that the awakening happened at the same time as Estonian national awakening from Soviet time. Also, our South Estonian Võro Seto awakening happened at the same time. And now we have, as we had seen already, as many speakers or knowers of the language. They are at the map now. On the map now, you can see which South Estonian part has more and which has less. And the Tartu language is the weakest part nowadays. It is almost died out. Mulgi, Võro and Seto have all some kind of activities to promote the language. But nowadays, Burrow and other South Estonian languages are threatened by standard Estonian because parents do not speak with children. We have no kindergartens or schools with Võro, Seto, Mulgi, Tartu as language of instruction. But from 2011, we have some groups of Võro language nest in kindergartens. It's a good thing. But nowadays we have very few children and young people who are fluent speakers of Võro, and even less Mulgi speakers. But Võro and Seto young people we have, but less and less. With every year we have less young speakers and children. And Võro Seto has put also into the red book of words languages as definitely endangered language. And you can see it on the map. This yellow Võro Seto. Sometimes Võro and Seto are written together. Võro Seto. Yes, as a one language. But mainly they are taken separately, Võro and Seto. Linguistically, of course, it is true, Võro Seto. But in terms of identity, not. Yes, and if we look at Võro language among all world's languages, then it would be somewhere here. It is ethnologues chart. So we here at the upper left corner are the biggest languages and the most supported by state, strongest languages. And here in the right down lower corner are the smallest languages and weakest. And so we can say Võro is an average language of word, not too small, but also not very big, and not too weak, not too strong. Average language, an average language, but of course a threatened language. About official status now. Shortly, I can say that we have not official status, but we have tried to get it several times. but still we don't have it. Some commissions have been in order to make this decision that Võro and Seto or South Estonian could be recognized as an independent regional or indigenous language of Estonia, but we still don't have this decision. But we have our state support programs. They are not very big, but still in texts of these support funds or programs, there are not speech about dialects. This state program texts includes terms, South Estonian language, Võro language, Seto language. So it is a kind of recognition. And Võro Institute, of course, is a state language, a state institute, and it is founded in 1995, Võro Institute, and it's fully state institute, and so it is a part of Estonian state. And Võro Institute, from the very first days, has spoke about Võro language, never about Võro dialect. So it's a part of state policy. So it is kind of mad or schizophrenic politics in Estonia. There are institutions who say that Võro is a language, and institutions, actually law doesn't support this. But we have this, Võro is the only South Estonian language which has its own language code. Code is ISO language code, Võro. And I draw with some picture in order to show what's the situation with these language codes. Actually, Estonian in this ISO standard is a macro language, macro level language, and it includes Estonian standard language, this EKK, it's Eesti kirjakeel, Estonian standard language, and Võro. But Seto doesn't have an independent code, and Mulgi and Tartu don't have. So they are, no, Seto, we can say that Võro includes Seto too, but actually very rarely Mulgi and Tartu have been seen as a part of Võro, parts of Võro. So Mulgi and Tartu are in a gray area. They don't have code. They are kind of, they could be parts of Võro, but they aren't. And they aren't definitely parts of North Estonian language. So, and then we have also this Kihnu language or dialect, and this is North Estonian, part of North Estonian language. But it is also quite independently working language now, in practically independent language. And so it's quite complicated. But okay, we have this Estonian standard language, EKK, and Võro, two codes at the moment, inside this Estonian macro language. Now, which organizations support our language? Võro Institute is state language, as I said, but we have also this local cultural institute, Seto Institute, Mulgi Kultuuri Institute, small institutes for Seto and Mulgi. Võro Institute has about 12 workers now, but Seto and Mulgi only one or even half working place, sometimes two, not more. And then University of Tartu has already 20 years Center for South Estonian Language and Cultural Studies, Lõuna-Eesti Keskus, Lõuna-Eesti keele ja kultuuri uurimise keskus. And of course we have Võro, Seto and Mulgi societies, but still not any body or any movement which would deal with Tartu language. So unhappily, this Tartu language is without any activity, any support. The only South Estonian language. It was the greatest South Estonian language, the Tartu literary language. Yes, it was the main language, but now it is the weakest part, and Võro is the biggest part, strongest. Yes, Tartu Ülikool. It is in Võro. Yes, University of Tartu, Tartu Ülikool. And at least one sign we have in Võro, inside of Tartu University, this Lõuna-Eesti keele ja kultuuri uurimise keskus, this South Estonian Center. Yeah, and there are these logos of local institutes, Võro Institute, Seto Institute, Mulgi Institute, and this building of Võro Institute. You are welcome to Võro Institute. If you will be in Estonia, please visit us. Yes, this South Estonian languages about which I spoke already. Now I have many pictures. We haven't much time left, but I shortly will show you these slides, pictures, maps, and photos. Yes, it is 8 parishes of Võro language, linguistic area, Võro language area. Võro flag has also this star or cross with 8 parts, and every white part of this cross or star is one parish of Võro language area. Räpina kihlkond, Vahtseliina, Rõuge, Hargla, Karula, Urvaste, and Kanepi and Põlva kihlkond. 8 parishes. You have more time. Okay. I have 2. So let's continue. But what do you think? How many time you have? I have as much as needed. Please write here who hasn't time, or which is the last time we should stop. Okay, 30 minutes. That's good. I will not speak 30 minutes. I just will end my presentation, and then you will have time to ask questions. I try to do so. The next map is from Estonian, the oldest Estonian children's magazine, Täheke, which is coming out every year, once a year in Võro. And as you see here, the highest hill in the Baltic states, Munamägi, is in the Võro area, Võro speaking area. Then the oldest and biggest tree, Tamme-Lauri Tamm, oak tree, is in the Võro. The longest river, actually, Võhandu, is in the Võro area. The biggest and most beautiful forests are in the Võro area, and so we have many, the most things. The deepest lake in Rõuge is also in Võro, the deepest lake. About education, Võro is taught once a week in 22 kindergartens, 60 schools, and in the University of Tartu. And when I am giving my this beginning course and advanced courses, I use Võro as an instruction language too, because it isn't so different from Estonian that it is not possible to understand. So it is like immersion course, yes. And also Seto is taught once a week, and some Mulgi schools also use or are doing this. Are teaching Mulgi. And in 22 kindergartens in Estonian speaking or Estonian teaching kindergartens, in 22 of them, they are about half of all Võro area kindergartens. They make this language nest day. We haven't proper language nest, but just once a week, one day is totally in Võro. And then we have one real language nest. It is in Haani, near to the highest place of Baltic states, in Haani, and there are only 3 days a week, but only in Võro. Yes, and we still have not money for 5 days a week working kindergarten in Võro. So this teaching materials and teaching in schools, at schools. We have also some competitions for children, reading competitions, reading in Võro, and reading poems in Võro, reading stories in Võro, telling stories in Võro. Then the oldest, we can say, the oldest event in Võro is summer university, suveülikool, Võro language summer university every summer, like summer seminar in Võro. It have been 3 days every summer. Then Võro and Seto place names are on the maps. Some maps use bilingual place names. This is the basic map of Estonia. There are Võro names are in the brackets. This is a highway map. This particular page of map is taken from Setomaa, Jüvä, and so on, Seto names. In some municipalities, in some Võro county municipalities, Võro language place names are made official, and then they are appearing also on the road maps. But in most of municipalities, Võro isn't official. Võro language place names aren't official. And then all signs, official road signs are in Estonian only. These signs of bus stop are in Rõuge, in one of the biggest Võro language municipalities, and there Võro place names are official. And then it had taken years and years. Actually, road companies are quite inert. They don't want to put these names to the signs, but now they are already there. Then, yes, some more road signs. This Vana Võromaa is written in Võro, and these parish signs are bilingual, Estonian and Võro. Then language products. Newspaper, Oma Leht, comes out twice a month, and Seto language newspapers, Setomaa, twice a month too. And then every week we have radio news in Võro, Seto and Mulgi, and then actually also in Kihnu, a small island with its own language. But only 5 minutes every week in every this language. It's very, very short news. And Mulgi has only quarterly newspaper. And every year we can say that about 10 books are published, 10 TV or radio broadcasts, some music CDs, some plays, public signs, home pages, computer programs, sometimes, and most often in Võro, but also in Seto, but quite rarely in Mulgi. Here are Võro school books, ABC book, reading book, song book, and local history book, Kodolugu, local history, home history. Some exercise books, audio cassettes, but now they are digitalized also. Picture dictionaries, we have 2 picture dictionaries for children. Then a big thing was this publishing of the Burrow Estonian dictionary in 2000. But next dictionary came out 2014. Eesti Võro dictionary, it is much bigger. It's such a big dictionary with about 20,000 entries, but inside this word articles there are about 50,000 words. Then now this Võro Estonian Võro, both dictionaries are on the internet, and it is quite good internet or electronic dictionary, and it is usable also quite good to use it in the mobile phone. Võros don't have their own national epic, but Setos have their own national epic, Pekko. Setos have also their own ABC book, reading book, many books, like series of books. It's quite fresh. yes, this Uma leht. Uma, it is own, and leht, it's newspaper. Our own newspaper, Uma leht. It is totally in Võro, and it is number of copies printed is 10,000. Comes out twice a month and has about 32 readers. Seto newspaper, Seto has also about is 100% in Seto and comes out twice a month. And now it is even bigger than Võro. Võro newspaper has only 4 pages, but Seto has 8 pages. And then Mulgi newspaper only 4 times a year, quarterly, comes out. But we have also Mulgi dictionary, small Mulgi dictionary, both printed and online, and Seto dictionary only online, quite small again. And this children's magazine Täheke, Täheke, it means a little star. Täht is star and Täheke, little star. In Võro it comes out every year once. Then this Võro Seto tähtraamat is like a cultural and literary magazine or calendar, cultural calendar. Yeah, you can see here this radio news. This Kihnu language has actually the biggest minutes in radio, most minutes, but others have only 5 to 7 minutes. Of course, it's quite strange because Võro has about 75,000 speakers and still about 5 or 7 minutes in Estonian national radio. Then Setos have also this cultural magazine Peko, and we have quite many children's books now. We didn't have them for a long time, but in 10 last years we have published quite many children's books. Some of them are bilingual, Estonian and Võro, but most are only in Võro, and this 2 in the lower part of the slide are translated from Finnish language. We have good cooperation with Swedish literature organization. Yes, some more children's book fiction. Kauksi Ülle is the most known writer in Võro. Today is 90-year jubileum of Madis Kõiv, who is the greatest play writer of Võromaa. He has written great plays in Võro. And of course, it's the center. Then we have, I will not speak about localization of programs. They are quite hard to do, and they are hard to hold them fresh. They are coming old. Then Võro Wikipedia. Now it has about 5,500 articles, and we have how it looks like. we have a competition in Estonia. We have a goal, such a program or such an event that we want to challenge. Yes, we have challenge. We want Estonian Wikipedia to reach 1 million articles and Võro 10,000 articles. Then we have these cartoons. One kind of cartoons, so quite simply cartoons made in Võromaa, which are published both in Estonian and in Võro, and this Võro language version has this Võro texts, subtitles also. Then umakeel.eu, it is a portal for young people. It's not updated anymore, but it's quite good. It includes also this keeleopus, grammar of Võro, actually only phonetics and orthography. Then if you want to try to learn Võro, then Vahpa, it is in North Sami language, opi, or learn, opi Võro keelt, learn Võro. It is made in cooperation with North Sami institutions in Tromsø, in University of Tromsø, and it is actually quite good tool for learning Võro, studying Võro yourself. And you can learn here both lexicon and numbers and morphology. The morphology part is based totally on language technology, and this Võro language technology isn't not very ready yet, so it makes mistakes. But this lexicon and numbers part is very good already. Then speaking about Võro language technology, I have also participated in this. We have done this Võro voice synthesizer, so this like robot or computer voice of Võro is available. It is done in cooperation of Võro Institute and Estonian Language Institute. And you can find it in web page of Võro Institute. And actually, when you open, if you open this Võro dictionary, Võro Estonian, Võro electronic dictionary, then all sentences are read there by this synthesizer, synthetic voice, by a girl voice and by a male voice, man voice. There are thousands of sentences and words are also listenable, but they are read by human. But yes, these sentences are read by robot. Yes, we have some theater life too, and some films in Seto, some in Võro, and we have also this soap opera or this TV serial Tagamõtsa. It is available in Estonian TV. You should write in Google Tagamõtsa, and you can find it. It will be shown to you in Estonian TV archive. You can find it and you can watch it for free. And it is with Estonian subtitles. Võro soap opera. Quite funny. Then pop and folk music in Võro. Yes, we have some. And every kind of styles. Some punk and rock and folk. The most known is maybe this Estonian Eurovision song from 2004, D. It didn't win Eurovision, but it won this Estonian Eurovision pre-contest. The biggest song festival in Võro is Uma Pido, own party. Yeah. And then we have politics in Võro Institute to explain to parents that it is bilingualist or multilingualist is good, and it is good to speak Võro to their children. And we have published such small books for parents, bilingual books that are explaining to parents that bilingualism and Võro are good things. And then we have these stickers and every kind of signs in Võro. The text on the sticker is "Tan või pruuki võro keelt", you are allowed to speak Võro here, or you are encouraged to speak Võro. Yeah. Every kind of signs, not very many signs in Võro linguistic landscape, but we have some signs. Bookshelf in Võro market. Then the biggest sign in public space is, I think it is, that is the biggest sign. It is on on car repair. Car repair has such sign. Hulli juttu ei aeta, aga massinid kõrda säätas. We don't speak bullshit here, but we are repairing cars. And it is, of course, private place. And Car Rauda, a Finnish company that has many shops in Võro, it has also this encouraging signs. Siin või pruuki võro keelt. You can use Võro. And this Olerex petrol station has also huge signs. Tan või pruuki võro keelt. You can use Võro here. Then these buses of Võro area has also Võro signs. Võromaa, Aigu Võro county or Võro land, we have time. Okay. Now I think we don't have any time left, but just some slides about language itself. We have vowel harmony, complete vowel harmony. Then we have this glottal stop. I think it is the most peculiar thing in Võro language. Plural nominative is marked in with glottal stop in Võro. So in Estonian, plural nominative is marked by D. No, so like maad, lands, maad. It's a plural marker D. But in Võro with glottal stop marked by Q, ma. And so actually it is very talented choice. I think that in North Estonia this tail is showing to north direction, and in South Estonia to south but the symbol is the same. And here is palatalization marks are something that aren't common in Estonian, but they are very common in Võro. Palatalization is very common to Võro language, and all consonants can be palatalized. Then, of course, this vocabulary, carrot, porgand. In Estonian, porgand is carrot, but in Võro, carrot is põrknas. And the word porgand means in Võro some person who speaks a lot too much. It is porgand or porgataja or porgats, porga. But in Estonian, porgand is carrot. It's just an example of how different can be the meaning of the same words. But some examples, mets and mõts, yes, forest in vocabulary, õde and sõsar, sister. North and South Estonian, mänd and petai. Oder, kesv, soe, lämmi, warm, yeah. And in grammar, only one feature I would present you, this S. In Estonian, this S parandas, ta parandas, he improves. It is, yes, in Võro, it is like in English, improves, parandas, it is present tense, parandas. But in Estonian, it is past tense, parandas, it improved. So the word form can be actually absolutely the same, but this grammatical meaning is absolutely different. Okay, but yes, it's about past tense, how we form it. It is totally different from Estonian. But thanks for listening and have a nice winter time. Aitäh kuulamast ja ilusat talveaigu teile. And of course, I'm ready to answer your questions now. You are welcome. Okay, Võro Keel Facebook group. Yes, I will speak about it. Sister. In Mari. Shujar. Oh, I didn't know. It's so similar. About Võro Facebook group, yes. Actually, I have another presentation too, in which some slides are about this, but I think I will not show it. Yeah, for us, it's a role model. What's this doing here? Thank you very much. Actually, the situation in Võro isn't so good at all, but we are trying to our best. Now, about Facebook group, yes. Actually, you can join it. It is Võro Kiil. I will write here. The group's name is Võro Kiil. And you are welcome to join it. We have now 5,500, about 5,500 members. But a year ago, we had only, how much did we have? About 400. 450, or no, let's say 500. We had 500, but now we have up to more than 5,000 members in that group. So it's very popular now. It became, this Võro language Facebook group became very popular with this memes, Võro language memes, humoristic or political. They are very popular. They made Võro language group very active. And yes. And actually, I don't like it very much that this Võro language group became a kind of humoristic group. For me, it is a serious thing, but at the same time, for people in Estonia, Võro is something funny thing, something very fun, and I don't fight against it. I think at the moment it is quite useful to us. Many people came to our group, and this humor, it helped us a lot. And now we can speak also about everything in that group, in serious things about culture, about concerts, about education, and so on. And I think this popularity of the group is a great thing. I feel so. Now I have a question of your question. Estonian speakers don't commonly understand South Estonian speech, do they? Yes, Estonian speakers, if they aren't used to listen, if they hadn't contact with South Estonian, then they don't understand well. Without preparation, it is quite hard to them. But it don't take a lot of time to use with South Estonian speech, and shortly they will understand. And if people are open-minded and positive, then they learn to understand very quickly. But some people say that they don't understand anything. I think largely it depends on people's views on that thing, what they think about the language, if they are positive or negative. Yes, I know that Setos have their own delegation to the Finno-Ugric Congress. Do Võro people have? Yes, Võro people don't have their own delegation because, you know, the situation is that Setos are smaller ethnic group than Võros, but they are stronger in that sense that Setos have said officially that they are a separate national or ethnic group. Yes, separate Seto nation, yes, or people, Seto people, but Võros didn't said it yet, and I think will not say, because Võro identity is like to be Estonian with an extra language. Our own language is Võro, but we are belonging to Estonian nationality, or we are sub-nation of Estonians. But Setos had said that they are separate nationality or separate people. So that's why Setos do have this delegation, but Võros belonging to Estonian delegation. What we think our language is a separate language. And Võro identity is based greatly on the language, but the Seto identity, in Seto identity, language isn't the most important thing. There are national customs and singing tradition and Orthodox believing and so on. It is much more important for Setos. Language is just one thing, but for Võros, language is very, very, very important, the most important, and the other things are not so. Have there been any serious movements or attempts to revitalize the old South Estonian literary language, either in print or digitally? I know you mentioned that they recently developed an orthography for Lutsi. Yes, Lutsi, yes, it is died out. Lutsi language enclave or language island in Latvia. But this Uldis Palodis, a Latvian boy or Latvian man, linguist who has lived in United States most of his life, he created this Lutsi orthography. It's a kind of a mixture of Võro orthography and Latvian orthography. It's quite talented thing. But old South Estonian orthography, actually this old South Estonian Tartu orthography, it was updated onto New Estonian orthography in the beginning of 19th century. So the last New Testament in Tartu literary language was already quite modern orthography, had already quite modern orthography. It doesn't differ much from nowadays orthography. So this Tartu orthography, in the last publications of Tartu language in the 19th century beginning, yes, it was quite okay already. It's like quite modern, but nobody uses it nowadays. Yes, unfortunately, Tartu language has left aside. They haven't their own institute, school lessons, and so on. That's pity. But yes, happily at least Võros, Setos and Mulgis are revitalizing their languages. And Võro and Seto are stronger, and the Mulgi is kind of weaker part of South Estonian languages. More questions or comments? Yes. Why Tartu is ignored or not used or not developed today? The main reason is the city, Tartu city, in which I am at the moment. I am sitting here in Tartu University, and Tartu is the second biggest city in Estonia, and it is how they are speaking about the United States, a melting pot of nations. So Tallinn and Tartu are such melting pots of in Estonia, and here this standard Estonian language had become so important, and anybody in Tartu, most of people had spoken in Estonian standard language also already a long time ago, and it influenced also surrounding territories. And yes, city of Tartu is a main reason. And then another reason is this: after World War II, many people were deported from Tartu and Mulgi areas into Siberia. This, Soviet repressions were very cruel and hard in Tartu and Mulgi areas. That is one reason of why Tartu and Mulgi are weaker nowadays. And Mulgi, of course, is weaker because Mulgi used also already in old times only Tallinn written language, North Estonian, but Tartu and Võro used this our own literary language, and we were kind of stronger, more stable part of South Estonian language. But now this Tartu, city of Tartu, is a very bad thing for Tartu speakers nowadays, unfortunately. And this repressions of Soviet repression was very cruel here in these areas too. And of course, yes, linguistic closeness to Estonian is bigger in Tartu, and Võro and Seto are much more different from Tallinn's, and more far away from Tallinn, so more isolated, and that's why the language is much better preserved in periphery. Yeah? But Tartu is more like center, cultural and economical important center in Estonia. That's why it's not. It hadn't been good for Tartu language, unfortunately. Leivu, Kraasna and Lotsi. I will put this map again when it's better to speak about them. Leivu, Lutsi and Kraasna language islands or enclaves. Yes, unfortunately they are completely disappeared. Kraasna, where in the Russian side, Kraasna was a variant of Seto language, very similar to Seto. Lutsi was very similar to Võro, to Võro as it is now. or it's maybe purer or older form. As my grandmother spoke it, it's like Lutsi. It's very, very, very close. Actually, no, more Latvian loan words, but actually the same language. But Leivu, which is not so far away, it's quite close to Estonian border, very close actually. It is the most different part. It was the most different language. It had some influences of Livonian language. It's strange because Livonian language was spoken on the Baltic Sea region, yes, close to sea, but it is here some tens of kilometers, nearly 100 kilometers from sea, from Livonians. But still, they have a Livonian influence and very hard Latvian influence, as Leivu had. And also it has their own very, very, very different morphological features and so on. So Leivu was the most different, but Lutsi was almost like Võro, and Krasna like Seto. But now I was in Lutsi a year ago in Lutsi region, and some people there remember like numbers 1 to 10. They can count numbers or know some words, and that's all. They remember some persons who spoke the language. They can say some place names and just count numbers, and some of them remember some folk song in Võro, some children's song, and that's all. But Uldis Palodis, yes, he tries to revitalize the language nowadays. Yes, you are welcome. I'm happy that I have had so many listeners and so many comments and questions. So many thanks to you. Suur tänu, aitäh!